Welcome to the Xlence Narrative Podcast, where the markets meet meaning and the charts tell a story. My name is Chris Karalis, trading specialist, and together we have Andreas Haralambous, market research analyst.
Welcome everybody to another episode of our series.
Today we explore companies that aren't just shaping technology, but that they are actually shaping the markets. Now we're speaking about the Magnificent Seven. And this is Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Tesla, Meta, and NVIDIA.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we're talking about the largest companies in the United States, the ones that are the most heavily traded. Some may say some have valuations that are higher than entire nations. They hold approximately a little bit more than a third of the U.S. Concentration, if you would like, according to valuations. And these kind of valuations have skyrocketed in the past few years, and that's why we keep hearing these kind of echoes of a possible bubble, at least some frothy conditions coming up in the near future.
Let's discuss today and find out the expectation. But all those seven companies together have transformed the artificial intelligence from a buzzword to actually a meaningful power force in the markets.
Yeah.
And those companies, they play a unique role in artificial intelligence. One of them actually builds the chips, the other one writes the codes, and the rest, they distribute, they deploy, and they personalize it for billions of people every day.
So, yeah, we can call them probably right now as the kind of front runners in the AI kind of revolution. It has started a few years back when we saw OpenAI kind of launching its ChatGPT tool, which gathered mass kind of users in quite a short period of time. And the hype just kind of kick-started from there onwards. And since then, since 2022, 23, we have seen these big players deploying a lot of capital in order to fulfill these kind of ambitions and stay ahead of the game and possibly lead this kind of AI revolution that they are set to be kind of manufacturing, if you like.
And how are those interconnected? We see the one investing into the other, right? Accumulating almost half of the S&P 500 market cap.
So, yeah, these are, in a sense, the worries that are rising. These are where the worries are stemming from. So we have all these big players, okay, as you mentioned, Google, NVIDIA, Meta, Amazon, Tesla, not that much. But also, besides Mark 7, we have seen also other players coming to the forefront and being in the midst of this kind of AI race or revolution or hype, whatever you want to call it, such as OpenAI, Anthropic, AMD, TSMC, which others, CoreWeaves, a lot of other players such as Oracle as well, entering the game, and they are, in a sense, tossing each other money around or investing in each other. And it feels like this is a coordinated kind of effort, at least in the Western Hemisphere, of creating some sort of an ecosystem that is going to allow these kind of companies to deploy the means necessary alongside their infrastructure to create this kind of big AI project, which is possibly going to secure the dominance of the United States in regards to this new technological frontier, which is called, in a sense, the fourth industrial revolution, which is promising to reinvent pretty much everything and accelerate the adoption and growth and application of this kind of AI technology into pretty much every aspect of our lives. For the time being, they're just promises, however, and for the time being, we keep seeing money being burned for possibly more money in the future.
We see that they are moving very fast, though. And are we actually entering a bubble territory? Is this a sign for warning signs, or is it actually the fundamental support the valuations we see?
Yeah, that is a great question. For the time being, we have opinions ranging from yes, this is the future of things, and no, this is just burning money. I cannot disclose on which kind of camp I am falling into. I do see the value of kind of implementing and adopting this kind of AI mentality in pretty much every aspect of the economy, but also besides that, the entire global system that we currently have. I do see the benefit, but I also see the money burning kind of mechanism behind it, and I'm not quite sure how those kind of operations are going to be sustained in the near future, whether they're going to provide some sort of cash flow and some sort of reward in those kind of investments. Is ultimately the question to be answered. Yeah.
All the traders, they care about whether it's a bull case or a bear case. So let's break it down and understand the pros and cons for each case. And let's start with a bullish case on the AI markets.
Okay, so the bull case is you got hints probably what the bull case is. I mentioned it a few moments before. So we're talking about a revolution in regards to technological advancements that is gonna, in a sense, penetrate each and every aspect of our lives, and it's gonna make efficiency the best case scenario in each and every operation, if you like. This, in a sense, is why all these kind of companies, which you just mentioned, are looking to invest in these kind of things. Okay, so they are piling a lot of cash, they're allocating a lot of capital, and the positive aspect of this kind of situation is that they have been sitting on cash for the past decade or so. So this has garnered them or gave them the opportunity to amass a lot of cash. And now they see that the AI as a valid option to invest their money in. So they found their chance and now they're taking it, some may say. This is definitely good because they're not borrowing money in order to fund their operations. So therefore, the aspect of allocating their own capital, so their own resources, they're betting on this kind of raise with their own cash, it's something that is indeed helpful in order not to fall into the other category, which is the bearish case. But yeah, the promises they are laying out are indeed attractive, and that's why we continue to see mass inflows into these kind of companies. That's why we continue to see their valuations skyrocketing. For example, if I'm not mistaken, NVIDIA just toppled a 5 trillion kind of valuation. And with, at the end, quote unquote, of this kind of AI revolution, which is supposed to make NVIDIA keep NVIDIA as the wealthiest or the biggest company across the world, estimates range for an $8.5 trillion valuation. So we're talking about, another 60% higher than this. At the current state of things, $5 trillion valuation, it's larger than the UK economy and then some. Okay, so we're talking about massive scale things, and they are expecting to increase that further more. So that's why you continue to see this kind of momentum, this bullish momentum going into these big tech companies, which are lifting their valuations higher and higher and higher. And again, all this investment, all this money that is being invested in this kind of development may feel like pennies at the end of a tunnel. Okay, so they're betting big bucks right now, which are probably going to be seen as pennies in the near future. If and only if they find that abundant coin at the end of the rainbow, at the end of this kind of journey. We'll see.
And what about the bear case? Is it something that could remind us the dot-com bubble?
Of course. This is the discussion in the sense that we have right now. Some analysts are indeed believing that we are at the peak of the mountain, some may say. that these kind of valuations have gone excessively high and they're not sustainable, they're not backed by fundamental data. Base case example can be Palantir. I can't remember exactly what the multiple of their valuation is, or their EPS valuation, EPS multiple is. It's something astronomical, something crazy, something that we have not seen back in the dot-com bubble burst, if you would like, of the 2000s. And it's super interesting that we have these kind of high valuations and this kind of market participation, which in a sense is echoing or projecting what Alan Greenspan said back in the 2000s of investors being irrationally exuberant. So they do not care about what's going on. They just want to make money out of it. So greed is actually taking over. And that's why we have these kind of fears that things may turn sour soon. And I'm not sure where the soon is, but we're talking about some catastrophic kind of event. Because as we mentioned at the beginning, we are talking about the companies that amass, in a sense, more than a third of the S&P composite valuation, or their concentration is more than a third. So if these guys fall on the back leg or just fall off the train, the AI hyped train, it's definitely going to have catastrophic consequences for the entirety of the US equity market. And that's why we see these kind of fears being regurgitated, if you like, time and time again.
Our podcast is actually in November of 2025, which is considered to be, based on seasonality, a bullish month for the stock market. So, and we've seen the quarterly earnings as well with a positive outcome. So it's a matter of time to see whether the bullish or the bearish narrative follows.
Yeah. For the time being, we've just entered November, and the first trading day of November has not been good, and we start to hear these kind of frothy AI valuations that are going to destabilize everything. So we didn't get to have a good start of November. It's just one day anyways, but let's see whether the historical pattern is going to play along, or this kind of seasonality trend is going to come through.
At the same time, we might even have some politics playing around, as we see that China is also developing their own AI systems and trying to get away or not need the chips of NVIDIA anymore and try to find alternatives.
I think that's a reality that the East is going to face, or is starting to ponder how to approach. If they just shy away from buying US chips, they're going to have to develop their own. I'm not quite sure what their capabilities are in regards to this. So the AI revolution plays indeed catching fire in the United States, even though we're not hearing anything substantial coming from the Chinese due to secrecy, due to I don't know what. But for the time being, we don't have enough data to compare the two. But yes, the fact that we see all these massive US corporations kind of teaming up and creating this kind of coalition or these kind of good relationships with each other, where they allocate money and capital into each other in order to create this kind of ecosystem or AI infrastructure project, it's certainly sending vibes that is possibly going to be a race with the East as well. So Western countries fighting for the AI superiority with the East. We'll see whether that's the case. For the time being, we just see only the West.
All right.
Okay.
Well, I guess let's summarize what we see now and why traders care. Traders actually want to both follow the signal and try to tell a story out of all the news that they hear. The narrative of our today's podcast actually is about the Magnificent Seven, which are actually shaping the economies. It's a power source for the empire, not only their empires, but also the economies, the Western economies. And one that could define not just now, but for the next decades as well.
So it's at least a decade-long game, even though this kind of AI revolution thing is topping each and every record in regards to innovation on a monthly basis, some may say, not on a yearly basis. So it's going to be interesting to see and how fast this kind of train can further go, and whether it's going to be a soft landing or a crash, that is to be seen. So yeah.
So stay curious, stay informed, and always trade the story, trade the narrative, and not the noise. This is the Xlence Narrative Podcast, where markets meet the story.